What's going on, everyone? This is ODC. It's me, and I'm here with a little bit of a wrestling talk. Just a subject that I've been thinking about for a long time, and never really had a chance to discuss it. Like I said in my previous, previous videos, that I'm going to start be doing more wrestling talk and stuff like this, more wrestling action figures. I'm a big wrestling fan. In case most of my viewers don't know that, I have been a big wrestling fan basically since birth. My mom took me to my first wrestling event when I was, I think, around 4 years old, and yeah, I've loved it ever since. I just kind of fell in love with it and never let go of it. Uh, I think the first two wrestlers I ever saw that I can remember is Roddy Piper. There we go, the shirt, and the Macho Man, and those were always my two favorites growing up. And then later on, I found I saw the Rockers and learned more about them. I really loved. They were my favorite tag team of all time. And then I developed uh, Shawn Michaels as my favorite overall wrestler of all time. I think I started following Shawn since his Rockers debut. I believe his debut was in 1986. Then they got fired because of some BS that happened. I'm not going to get into all that, but because I want to be talking about King of the Ring here. But just letting you guys know that I have been a big wrestling fan since I was born. I've been watching it as long as I can remember. I still to this day watch it. So yeah, I just thought, let's do something different. Let's talk some wrestling. And if wrestling's not your thing, then I'm sorry, but yeah, let's talk about King of the Ring and bringing back King of the Ring. My One of my favorite pay-per-view events was a King of the Ring pay-per-view, and I think my favorite pay-per-view, which I'm going to talk about in this video, was the 1993 King of the Ring. Was by far my favorite King of the Ring. I know there were probably a lot of different other King of the Rings that people enjoy, but for me, when it gets back to basics, it gets back to what the King of the Ring really was the original, was 1993. And I know there were King of the Rings prior to 1993, but it was a bigger event, the 1993 pay-per-view. First, I'm going to talk about the pay-per-view. Then I'm going to talk about why we should bring back the pay-per-view. Okay? The main reason why I think we should bring back the pay-per-view is the fact that it's one tournament in one night. You know what I mean? You don't have the watered down version that is nowadays, where they do it week to week. We'll do the first round this week, then we'll do the second round this week, then we'll do the third round this week, and so they expand it over I think like over a month's time, something like that. But to me, the King of the Ring has always been a one night event. You do the tournament, it's one night, it's a grueling tournament, and it really brings up your talent instead of just, after a month's time where people have forgotten who's even in the damn match. Like the recent King Barrett, Wade Barrett has won the King of the Ring. I believe was it last year or the year before? I can't remember. Anyway, last year. And they just do nothing with his character. He's done absolutely nothing. I know he's been injured, but long story short, I don't want to go too far away from what I'm talking about here, and that's the 1993 King of the Ring, and then afterwards getting back to why it should be brought back. So, 1993 King of the Ring, long story short, we're just going to jump right into it. First match on the card, Bret Hart versus Razor Ramon. Absolutely fantastic match. Really good pacing. Both guys knew exactly what they were doing. They had previously met in the 1993 Royal Rumble for the WWF Championship. And I really enjoyed this match a lot. Good psychology. Overall, just well done match. Next, you have Mr. Perfect versus Mr. Hughes, the Battle of the Misters. The right guy won this match, and that was Mr. Perfect. Mr. Hughes was just god awful in the ring, clunky, stiff, just couldn't move around a lot. He couldn't do the finish properly. It was just a bad match overall, and I think it was probably the worst match on the card, to be honest with you. And it wasn't Mr. Perfect's fault either. Totally just Mr. Hughes just not knowing what Mr. Perfect's going to do. Or either he wasn't listening or they just didn't have a plan going into this match. But Mr. Perfect goes over. Moving on next, we have Bam Bam Bigelow versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Solid match. Bam Bam carried the match. I'll be honest with you. This is later on in Hacksaw's career where he was a little bit, old and stiff and kind of at the end of his career. So Bam Bam goes over. He wins, and it was the right move to do because you need a heel to win something in this tournament. And then finally, you have Lex Luger, the narcissist Lex Luger. This is before he was made in the USA. Lex Luger and Tatanka. Now, this was actually a really good match. I feel like it was an underrated match that most people don't talk about, especially having to do with this pay-per-view. These guys had pretty good chemistry in the ring together. And this is at the peak, I think at the peak of Tatanka, his overall look and conditioning. Later on in 1994, he started to look way out of shape, and then by 95 he was not so good in the ring. You could tell he was a little bit clunky and just had too much weight on him. But anyway, good match, goes the distance, goes 15 minutes. It ends up in a draw, which is such a bullshit thing to do. It's like a fucking dusty finish, for Christ's sake. If you don't know what a dusty finish is that I'm referring to, it's pretty much either a bunch of people run in and there's no winner. So whenever there's no winner, I call it a fucking dusty finish because Dusty Rhodes would make those. Anyway, oh, yeah, baby. It's a dusty finish. Oh, I love it. But so Bam Bam ends up getting a bye. The next match we have on the card is the second round, which is Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect. Solid match. Absolutely. And I don't think it was just, it wasn't just like, you could definitely tell it's not just Bret in this match. Both guys really carried this match nicely. Great storytelling in the ring. Funny thing about it is that Bret Hart almost blew out his leg. Mr. Perfect launched him off of the apron and right into this like plastic container, and he's like, it looks like he blew out his friggin' ACL. That's what it looks like. But really good, solid match. Both guys, you could tell, had good chemistry together. You could definitely tell that this is really getting close to where Mr. Perfect had to start taking off some time. His lower back was just all messed up. You can tell the way he like bends over. He kind of bends with his knees to pick Bret up by his hair, and it looked kind of painful. I feel kind of bad for Mr. Perfect. I know he's deceased now, but anyway, moving on. So then we have set up. It's Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect. Bret Hart goes over and rolls him up for the 1, 2, 3. Then we have Bret versus Bam Bam. That's later on. Next match we have on the card is Hulk Hogan versus Yokozuna. We have the WWE Championship match in the middle of the card, pretty much in the middle of the card, which is very interesting. You would think Hulk Hogan, having the ego that he did at the time, he would be like, "No, brother, I'm going on last. Okay, brother." Sounding like Macho Man a little bit there. But Yoko goes over. And this is a very interesting match because as much as I loathe Hulk Hogan, and I really do, I can't stand the guy. He's just a big selfish baby. It doesn't like to put people over. Anyway, that's a different story. I know there's a lot of Hulk Hogan fans out there that probably hate my guts right now, but I'm sorry. I just don't like the guy. Anyway, and he's a racist in his personal life. Anyway, but going back to this, good match. It was a good match. Hulk Hogan puts over Yoko like he should have, because at this time, Hulk Hogan was pretty much at the end of his career with the WWE. He was like, all right, I'm going to do Tropical Thunder or whatever the fuck the name of that dumb show was that failed miserably. He's going, I'm going to go do some TV. I'm going to go do some TV, brother. Let me tell you something, brother. I'm going to do some TV. Anyway, so he is pretty much at the end of his career. He's got to put Yoko over. The fans are just not into Hulk Hogan at this point. They're just like, okay, you're here. Why? Go away. Anyway, so Yoko gets put over, but he gets put over so well. I mean, Hulk Hogan makes him look like fucking King Kong in this match. He he looks fantastic, and the fact that A, Hulk Hogan loses, and B, Hulk Hogan loses to a fucking leg drop by Yokozuna is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. On top of that, Yokozuna also kicks out of the big boot and the leg drop. So if there's anyone else in the history of Hulk Hogan putting anyone over, Yokozuna might be the strongest guy he ever put over. And then on top of that, after Hogan loses the match, he gets bonsai dropped by Yoko after the match. So he basically Yoko flattens Hogan, and he have to scrape him off the mat after, and they're just like, get him the fuck out of the ring. He's done. You could tell that Vince was like, fucking put fucking Yoko over. You better put fucking Yoko over. So it was a good, solid match. Overall, good, solid Hulk Hogan match for what it was. Strong guy versus your big, heavy guy. Like Gorilla Monsoon would say, the irresistible force meeting the immovable object. So that's it. Next match. Solid match. Good change of pace for the card. It was the Smoking Guns versus the Steiners. Or no, Smoking Guns and the Steiners versus Money Inc. and the Head Shrinkers. Solid match. The Smoking Guns and the Steiners win via roll up on Ted DiBiase. And yeah, I thought it was a pretty good change of pace. It was right where it needed to be. It was right what it needed to be also. I really enjoyed the match. It was fun to see a tag team match. I would have preferred a tag team title match instead, with the Steiners versus Money Inc. or vice versa, Smoking Guns versus Money Inc. But still, fun match to watch. And then next we move on to Shawn Michaels versus The Crush for the Intercontinental Championship. Really good, solid match. There's a clean finish, for God's sake. Thank God, because back in '93, there was a lot of unclean finishes. And by unclean finish, I mean pretty much disqualification, count out, draw. Those are unclean finishes to me. I just wasted my time watching this whole match, and there's not even the correct finish. Shawn Michaels super kicks Crush, pins him over, done. And I thought it was a good match. You know, these guys have worked together numerous times during that era in 1993, and they had pretty good chemistry together. Strong guy versus your quick and agile guy. So, and Shawn pretty much carried the match for the most part. Nothing against Crush, but Shawn Michaels we're talking about here. Greatest wrestler of all time. Moving on to the last match, which was probably the best match on the whole card, which was Bam Bam Bigelow versus Bret Hart. It was absolutely perfect. This match was absolutely perfectly well done. Big guy versus good wrestler. It's just what you needed it to be. Even the ending, Bret wins by a victory roll. Absolutely perfect. I loved it. I even loved the aftermath of Jerry Lawler attacking Bret Hart. That was perfect. You're taking your biggest face in the company, and not only did you just bring him all the way up, you've now started another feud, all in one pay-per-view. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 matches in King of the Ring, and having the entire tournament and 9 other matches, and 9 total matches, I should say, all in one pay-per-view. By far one of my favorite pay-per-views of all time. It had everything it needed to be. I would have preferred a winner for Luger and Tatanka. I would have liked to see Tatanka maybe take that, since he had a little bit more time in the company. And then you would have had a good match with Bam Bam and Tatanka, and I think they had a rivalry at the time also. So, or either that or it was brewing. But Really good, solid card. And now I'm going to segue into why we should bring back King of the Ring as a pay-per-view. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would agree with me that this pay-per-view needs to come back, especially with the oversaturation of TLC, and then we got bullshit pay-per-views like Fastlane, and I know that's an in between, Royal Rumble and WrestleMania pay-per-view, which is what it needs to be, a buffer. But now you're having two pay-per-views in between WrestleMania. You have Roadblock on tonight at 8, and then you have Fastlane. I don't know what the hell they're doing. But anyway, King of the Ring needs to come back. Just get rid of Bash at the Beach. Or no, there's no Bash at the Beach anymore. No, there's no. Anyway, get rid of Night of Champions and then bring back King of the Ring and have the tournament. Even if you're just going to do the tournament, just do the friggin' tournament and maybe like a championship match if you want to just do that. Or even if you don't want to do that, just do the tournament and have it like kind of like Roadblock. The pay-per-view Roadblock is on tonight. It's a smaller pay-per-view. It's a WWE exclusive pay-per-view. And if you just do the tournament, I think that'll work. Just have, whether you want to do 16 wrestlers starting it off or you want to do 8 wrestlers in the tournament. Just do it. Just friggin' do it, man, because people want to see that. People don't want to see the tournament last a friggin' month. You know what I mean? They want to see the tournament in one night because that's how you bring a wrestler up properly. You have him excel in one night, and that's what helped Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's what helped Bret Hart. That's what helped Owen Hart really kind of get up in the main event status almost. It does really help people's status. Look what it did for Kurt Angle. Really helped Kurt Angle. It didn't do much for Billy Gunn, but King Mr. Ass or King Ass. But for me, I think right now, with the lack of innovation in the WWE wrestling world, I should say, they should really bring back the King of the Ring. Like I said, if you just want to do the tournament, do the tournament. If you want to add in a couple other title matches, do that. But for God's sake, bring back the tournament because it's just been too long. It's one of my favorite pay-per-views, and to really just show your audience that you can appreciate, or you're trying to push new guys, and all the guys in the tournament should be fresh faces. There shouldn't be one friggin' veteran in there, and if there is, then put R-Truth in there. That's fine. Put R-Truth in there, and then call it a day. That's fine. But yeah, I really would enjoy to have this tournament back. It's been a long overdue. What they've done with it now is just absolutely atrocious. They've watered it down, and they just do nothing with the winner. They don't even offer, like, if you win the King of the Ring, the old rule used to be that you win a WWE Championship match. They don't even do that anymore. It's like you win the King of the Ring, and then you just walk around with a robe and a scepter and a crown and call yourself King Dipshit for the next year. So, I don't know. I feel like just go back to the basics, go back to what the King of the Ring really was, and yeah, I just think it would really work, especially now. People are yearning for something either nostalgic or something original. So why not, if you have nothing original to give us, which you've shown that within the last 4 to 5 years, then let's give us something nostalgic. Give us the King of the Ring tournament back. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite King of the Ring tournament was, what year, and your favorite winner, and yeah, or your favorite match on the card in general, because there's a lot of good King of the Ring pay-per-views, and but this, the 93 just kind of started it for me, and yeah, so that's pretty much it for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.